Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope you're having a nice evening. I hope you had a delicious dinner. And my name is Ben Garrido, and I would like to introduce you to the desert where I grew up in the United States. So, when most people think of deserts, they imagine sand dunes, cactus, extremely hot days, uh, and no water for many kilometers in every direction. This is indeed one kind of desert. And there are many examples of this kind of desert in the world. The Sahara in Africa is like this. The Atacama Desert in Peru is like this. And the deserts in the Middle East, such as in Saudi Arabia, are like this. However, the desert I grew up in is a little different. I come from a small city called Reno. Reno is in the western United States. It is one state east of California. And Reno is very high in the air. The altitude is between 1,500 and 2,000 meters, so mm, higher than almost anywhere in Japan. If you take a 20-minute car ride west from Reno, you end up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The Sierra Nevada mountains are very green and very wet and very cold. In fact, they are so wet and cold and beautiful that they hosted the 1960 Winter Olympics. So the desert I grew up in is not very far from this sort of area. But of course, this area in the Sierra Nevadas is not the desert. If you go back to Reno and you drive north, south, or east, you will be in the desert. This is called high desert. We don't have many cactuses, almost none, but we do have something called sagebrush. Sagebrush is a dry, crunchy bush. They're usually about 1 meter tall, and if you break the leaves, they smell like Moroccan cooking. They're delightful. Uh, Also, we don't really have sand dunes. There are a few sand dunes, but you really have to look for them. They're not common. Instead of sand dunes, we have big, tall, jagged mountains. Very dramatic mountains, like what you see in cowboy movies. The weather as well. Sometimes it's hot, but to be honest, Shimonoseki is hotter. And uh, we also get snow every year. The area is mostly dry, and the humidity is very, very low. Actually, moving to Korea first and then Japan, one of the biggest, most difficult adjustments for me was the humidity. Uh, the humidity in Shimonoseki is usually between 60 and 80%. In my hometown of Reno in the desert, it's about 20%. So we also have in the desert a lot of what scientists call charismatic wildlife. And that means animals that are exciting. For example, on a normal day in the desert, I would wake up and I could look out my window, and many mornings I would see wild horses. The wild horses, as the sun comes up, they go away. So I would finish my breakfast, and by the time I was ready to leave the house, the horses had usually gone. Once the sun came up, we get uh, the next animals that you see around are rabbits and chipmunks and lizards. The coolest kind of lizard, in my opinion, is called a horny toad. These lizards are about this big, and they look like they're covered in rose thorns. So they have these sharp things everywhere on them. Uh, they're not really dangerous, but they look dangerous. They also do this really cool thing where if you surprise them, they go like that at you and they shoot blood out of their eyes. So, very charismatic. Towards the end of the day, we we start to get, the sun goes down and we get these beautiful sunsets. And because the desert is so dry, the air is really clear. So we get really beautiful sunsets, bright pink, hot red, uh, neon neon orange, really really beautiful. And as this is happening, we have these little birds called swallows, and the swallows come out and they eat the mosquitoes and the flies, and you can watch them dancing in the sky. They're agile, beautiful, fast little birds. I love them. And many times my family and I, we would sit on the porch, we'd watch the swallows and eat watermelon. And then at night the coyotes would come out. Coyotes are like small dogs, but they sing, and they sound like this. And almost every night we'd get coyote sound. I actually got so used to this that it was hard for me to sleep without coyote song. When I first moved to Korea, I actually had trouble sleeping because of that. So, anyway, I mention this because most of us live in cities these days, and we tend to think that it's really important to have a convenience store, and it's really important to have a mall, because this makes it convenient to get a snack. It makes it convenient to buy a new shirt, etc., etc. But when I remember sitting on the porch, watching the sunset, watching the swallows, and listening to the coyotes, I wonder, hmm, maybe convenience is overrated. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.